Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog. Incredible broadcast today. You know, oftentimes, I'm interviewing people about their businesses, about what they're doing in the industry. But today, I'm interviewing not only a client of mine for 35 years, second generation, good friend, Brett Sutherlin. Hello, Brett.
Hey, Jim, thanks for having me on today.
Hey, thanks for being here, and thanks for being my friend all these years. Uh, if anybody knows Brett Sutherland, he's 10 dealerships, and I'm talking about big juggernaut dealerships. This guy does nothing small. Owner of Fusion Zone. His dad and I have been friends since he was in Pampers. I mean, we this relationship goes way back. So anyway, Brett, Fusion Zone incredibly successful. Everybody knows that the Sutherland dealerships are knocking it out of the ballpark. Pandemic, no pandemic, and you're on the cutting edge of technology, applied sales and marketing. What are you up to now?
You know, with Fusion Zone, we have several thousand dealers. I branched off about a year ago and got outside of the auto industry, identified a niche in contractors, started a company, Jim, called Lead Revenue that was specifically developing websites for contractors. And I'm talking large contractors, 20 to 150 million in revenue, um, home builders, paving and asphalt, things of that nature. When we launched these websites, I looked at my wife and I said, you know what, this is not going to work. They're not getting enough traffic. I went to Google, which is based in Southern California. I have a lot of contacts, and said, hey, what am I missing here? And they said, you're missing Google Maps. That is the new search. That's how people find you. So I started
Wait
experimenting.
a second. Wait a second. Google Maps.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Brett. Come on.
How many times do you search for a restaurant on your phone and rely on the
I
maps?
just pick it up, say, restaurant near me,
Yep,
Thai food near me, Italian near me. Easy to do.
yep, and that your results are maps. So we started figuring the
Hmm.
ins and outs of maps, where we were saying, hey, how can this guy who's in Atlanta, Georgia, start appearing in searches not only in Atlanta, but in Buford, in Sandy Springs, in Buckhead. And we learn the ins and outs of Google Maps. We've figured out how to amplify those results. We did this in the contractor world, Jim, added close to 1,000 contractors in a year to this company, Lead Revenue.
1,000 contractors in 1 year.
Yes, sir. Created enough stir that we got a significant investment from the same private equity company that bought majority control of Fusion Zone. And they said to me, hey, Brett, we want you back at the helm here. We combined the two companies. I applied what we learned in the contractor space to auto dealers, and I've seen massive results. I've seen instantaneously them double their incoming phone calls. I've seen massive search for service. Service is the low hanging fruit. Because Jim, if you say, hey, you know what, I need new tires for my car, and you say tire dealers near me, why can't a dealership show up front and center? They should. And we have figured out how to make that
Oh,
happen.
wait a second. You say tires near me. You're going to come up with Walmart. You're going to come up with
Pep
Goodyear,
Boys.
Pep Boys. I mean, you're not going to come up with a car dealer. Car dealers don't even focus on that.
We're bringing the focus to the fastest moving, most searched items in the car industry: tires, oil change, windshield wiper blade,
Nobody's doing that.
batteries. We're getting a massive exposure, because guess what? From a dealer, if I've got someone who says, you know what, I need a new battery for my car, and they Google batteries near me, and Sutherland Nissan Mall of Georgia shows up. They click get directions. They go to the dealership to buy that battery. how much other things are we going to be able to upsell that customer?
All of a sudden, I'll always look at a customer for life. How do
Exactly.
you build a customer for life? A one-time sale is not the goal. The goal is to build repeat customers, customers that are loyal to your brand, customers that come back for other things. And truthfully, right now, Brett, nobody needs to be advertising cars.
That's exactly right.
You haven't got any cars, people. you know.
What we're seeing, Jim, and we started this with the Sutherlin stores many months ago. We've seen incoming phone calls for sales and service almost double across the board. It's been amazing. Requests for directions have doubled. We're focused on not only maps, but just hyper local search engine optimization. That is the name of the game. Let's set up the websites, and you could be on any website. It doesn't have to be Fusion Zone. It could be dealer inspired, dealer.com, whatever. Let us build out landing pages focused on the cities that you're not showing in. Let us build relevancy and tie those landing pages to your Google My Business account. Tie
So
back.
you wait a second. You've got a company that is selling services to dealers that will maximize the results in Google Maps. Is that if I had to boil it down, would that be it?
Absolutely.
Okay. That is so cool. Because not only do people say restaurant near me, what is the next thing they do? They punch it in where it takes them there. They all of a sudden they got the GPS working to get them there.
They hit get directions. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you do a quick search on your phone in your area and you said tire dealers near me, I bet you a lot of money that there's not a dealership period that shows up, and they should be. They should be. Batteries near me, the same thing. They should be showing up. This is how people are searching, and this is where you need to be found. It's the long and short.
Well, the one of the websites I saw is SEO Dead, and I know that's going to make a lot of people in the SEO business cringe, including some friends of mine. Some people because we're adjusting our thinking on SEO, and of course there's that Google My Business on the sidebar. And people are starting to wake up, and dealers are finally realizing, hey, Google My Business is the website. People don't even need your website. They can totally transact and totally do business on Google My Business today.
100%. You've got your inventory now displayed on Google My Business. You're going to continue to see that evolve, and dealers need to be on the forefront of this change. 100%. If they're not, they're going to be left behind. They're changing the entire platform in early 2022. In some industries, you're going to be able to complete an e-commerce transaction, not auto, but you're going to be able to complete an e-commerce transaction through Google My Business. You have to be front and center on this change, or you will be left behind.
Well, hey, we just got a little sidebar note. I am here to cringe, Jim. That's Angus Fox that works at Wikimotive, one of my best friends in the world. Yeah, of course, Wikimotive is in the SEO business, and the one of the very best. So, so SEO isn't dead, but SEO is certainly going to have to transform, and I'm pretty sure Wikimotive will transform with it, but tell me what you're doing. This is hilarious.
SEO is traditional SEO is 100% changing. It is. Google has all these map ads above the fold. Then you go to maps. Your organic search has been pushed so far down the fold. And if you know how to get on maps, you can do that in numerous searches in numerous cities. So SEO has changed, and the traditional SEO that we've always talked about, Jim, in my opinion, has changed for the better. Because guess what? Now, if I Google Nissan dealers near me, and I see 4 ads, I see maps, and then I see some organic searches with AutoTrader being front and center. But that's a great thing, because no longer are the days where AutoTrader holds you captive and says, Mr. Dealer, you need to pay me $5,000. I'm going to use your money to outrank you. That's a thing of the past. This is healthy change that's changing for the better. And it's just about being on the forefront of that and knowing how these changes occur, jumping in and making this move. If you do, it will be the biggest ROI of any investment you've made.
It is, and for a lot of people that are watching the broadcast today, different levels of expertise, different levels. The fold, Brett talks about the fold. The fold is the center of the page on Google, and it might not be the center depending on your particular screen, but anyway, how much visibility you have before you have to start scrolling and winding the page up.
What you're seeing on your screen when you perform a search is a bunch of ads that customers know are ads, and then you see maps. Customers typically are not scrolling down from that point. They're saying, okay, wow, Sutherlin Nissan, I'm going to go ahead and either click for directions, click to call, or hit visit the website, right? That is how people in 2022 are going to search. You're going to see it continually evolve in that manner. Now you've got map ads that are.
And you got the map pack.
You got the map pack, but now you can buy map ads above the map pack. So
quit it.
100%. So now Google has pushed the organic down even further. So you've got the 3 map pack, and now on top of that, you can purchase 2 ads in maps.
So the best SEO companies are going to have to start looking at maps and moving up, because let's face it, SEO right now, most dealers are getting their butts kicked in the organic search. Car Gurus, you're going to have CarMax, you're going to have AutoTrader, you're going to have all the professional vendors competing for that top spot, even though you're below the fold.
Yeah.
So dealers are being relegated. If you're not really good, and if your SEO company is not really good, excuse me, pal, you're on the second page.
And you know what they say about being on the second page of Google. I mean, it's just as well.
You don't exist.
You don't exist. I'm saying now that they're pushing so many results down on the first page, thanks to more ads, now map ads, then the map pack. I'm saying you're virtually non-existent if you're below the fold. Maps is the new normal, and that's where you need to appear.
So how do you do this?
That's the thing.
I don't need your whole secret formula, but what are you doing?
Reviews play a massive role. Think of it this way. Google wants to reward companies that take care of their customers. Reviews provide relevancy. Google reviews are the way to go. Google is the 800-pound giant. You need massive amounts of reviews. You need a review system. You need to have your categories right in Google My Business. You need to have the cities that are all within a certain radius of your dealership dialed in. You need to have your products and services dialed in. Jim, I've been talking heavily to car dealers, probably as many as you lately. And what I can tell you is when I gain access to their Google My Business account, they don't even have it set up targeting certain cities. That is a massive mistake. So if you do all of those things, and basically the job is to prove your relevancy to Google, you're going to make massive moves. And what I like about this better than traditional SEO has always had somewhat of a bad rap, because companies say, hey, SEO takes time. That's the last thing a dealer wants to hear, is SEO takes time. This is quick. This moves the needle incredibly fast.
How fast?
Going into dealerships, El Patron, the guy who's all over social media, we've been working with his store, Brooklyn Mitsubishi. He literally was getting 30,000 visits on maps. When we optimized everything, he went from 30,000 to 280,000.
Yeah, when he was with Brooklyn Mitsubishi, it was killing it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're not talking high volume Toyota, but Mitsubishi. Come on.
Exactly. So we've gone, he's in that store. He is, we've dialed that in, and he's seen probably a 700% increase on views for maps. And this happens in a 2 to 3 week period. We will give you the playbook and let you know what is needed. Our team will do the heavy lifting from a content perspective, because again, it's all about relevancy. It's all about making sure Google realizes you're hyper relevant, and they will show.
So, Angus comes in by that you're spot on. Hyper local is the game. Hyper local. I love that. I've not heard that term before. Hyper local. Okay, it's in my brain. Okay.
And Angus will tell you, I mean, reviews, number one way to get recognized, to show you're relevant to Google, and then content. Whoever said decades ago, Jim, content is king on Google, that's been the most true statement ever to be told. Those two together, and optimizing your categories, optimizing everything on that Google My Business page, is going to make you stand out from the crowd, and it's going to bring in more traffic in a short period of time than you can imagine.
And the truth of the matter is, unless you went to Google school yesterday, you're obsolete. They keep changing it on purpose. I mean, they must be laughing their ass off up there in Google land, because they keep changing everything you thought you learned. They move it. They keep moving the goalpost.
But you know what? I think this is the healthiest move that I've seen, because Jim, you've probably reported on this, but third-party providers such as Car Gurus and Autotrader and Cars.com that are taking dealers' monies and competing against them, and then displaying other dealers' cars if you're not the premium sponsor, things of that nature.
Oh, I have written about that many times. I am not a fan of vendors that steal your customers and rent them back to you, and then shuffle them off to a third dealer.
Exactly. So look at the valuation of Autotrader. Great example, right? 10 years ago, Autotrader was worth triple what it's worth now. 10 years ago, Google wasn't a $1 trillion company. I think they'll become the first $2 trillion company. They are changing the landscape. And if dealers are front and center in this change, you're going to win 100%.
So anyway, how do people find out about this?
We went to Google, and I've been in the digital space, Jim, as you know, for a long time. We went to Google and said, look, we're not moving the needle for these contractors fast enough. And, we got a huge education in a very short period of time. And what they were saying was working, taking contractors that are $50 million companies that are only getting 500 visits to 7,000 or 8,000 visits. When we went and started doing this to car dealers, that momentum multiplied very quickly, because car dealers do get traffic. There are more searches for car dealers than there are asphalt paving, right? So it is literally the results were amplified. So, I don't think it's out in the open. Hyper local, and Angus hit the nail on the head, is the name of the game. And that is what it's all about. So utilize this in every department of your dealership. Service is a big one. Used cars is a big one. If you've got, Sutherlin Nissan of Fort Myers has, 30 Toyotas in stock. Why can't we show up if someone puts in used Toyotas near me? You should be able to. It's all about relevancy. It's all about reviews. It's all about getting front and center in Google's eyes, and this is the fastest way to do it.
Reviews is an incredible moving force. My wife will do nothing without looking at the reviews of the company. I mean, she absolutely goes to it first. Her first consideration is what are other people saying about them?
Of course.
And I have 150,000 people on social media. I have made it a life's work to gather relationships.
Sure.
Relationships are power. But if I have a problem and I get on social media and I start posting reviews, all of a sudden the power of reviews comes back, and I'll hear from the CEO of a company. It's amazing, and so from the housewife to the executive, everybody looks at reviews. So
How
how are you leveraging reviews? Is where I'm getting with this.
we are defining a process that dealers need to take hold of, to a best practice on how to get reviews. I said recently on LinkedIn, Jim, that this pandemic has helped us in a lot of ways. Obviously, dealers are making more money than they ever have. But what it's done is the dealers who don't have the best reviews, who haven't embraced technology like they have, it's enabled them to hold on through a false sense of success. Dealers saying, "Hey," and a dealer that's not in the technology age like they need to be, that haven't embraced reviews, that are old school, that probably were looking for a way out or a way to sell, now say, "You know what? I've made all this money. I'm doing something right now." It's given a false sense of entitlement to dealers.
A false sense of entitlement. I go on LinkedIn or one of the social channels, and they're giving each other trophies, and I mean, as if they did something. Excuse me, folks. You got inventory on your lot. A monkey with a note in his mouth can sell
That's exactly right.
it.
But how do you tackle the bigger problems, such as hiring technicians? Digital is the way to go. Your technician, your ideal technician has changed. Tech schools, education, high schools, they're not coming from that anymore because
No.
the clientele has changed. You have to do several different things to reach them, and Google another way to be front and center in that search. Become more relevant in your search for technicians. I talk to 50 to 70 dealers a day. And what they're saying, Jim, is they're saying, I can't handle any more service business. Well, that's your fault.
Because you haven't got the 3 shifts that you need. If I was a dealer, I would be staffed up and I would have 24-hour service.
You have to. That
Yeah.
you would have Sundays, you would have Saturdays, you would have, you'd be on 24/7, because guess what? You can find the right people. I was at a grocery store in Park City the other day, and they're paying $24 an hour to bring people to unload trucks at night.
Park
Well,
City's what?
Park City, Utah.
Okay, really?
Yeah. Local grocery store, high-end ski resort, $24 an hour to unload trucks. Well, when's the last time that you've seen dealers change technicians' pay so drastically? You have to change with the times. And if a guy is unloading trucks at a grocery store for $24, tell me a master tech isn't worth 60, right?
Stop playing with people's pay plans. Stop. My God, the last 3 jobs I had in the car business, uh, I didn't want to leave. I left because of pay plan renegotiations. Yeah, I was setting world records, and people were messing with the pay plan.
But shame on dealers. It's in your control to get technicians. You just have to know how to reach the technicians, how to make yourself different, how to make yourself stand out from a relevancy perspective on Google. And if you can solve those issues, you will see profits like you've never seen, especially in this pandemic, which I think this shortage is going to last the entire year of 2022.
You think so?
I do. Everything I'm hearing from manufacturers.
Well, how in the world can people people get more information on what you're doing? I mean, you're a client of mine, you're a friend of mine. I mean, let's face it, we have a relationship, and I have an interest in making sure that you're successful. How do they find you?
So
What's going on? How do they find more information?
look, LinkedIn is a great place. I'm posting heavily on LinkedIn under Brett Sutherlin. Um, we have a very active blog on lead revenue. We have a webinar coming up tomorrow where we really dive heavily in how we're going to move the needle, how dealers can get more information on moving the needle through Google My Business. On the Lead Revenue blog, the latest blog article, it has a link to join the webinar.
Well, one thing we want, let's slow down a second. We want people to find the webinar tomorrow. That's part of the goal of our broadcast today, is to get people to take a look and at a deeper dive. I just put the link up. Is that, let's see here.
That's it.
Okay, there it is. I've got it on the sidebar. Yeah, so it's a go to webinar. It's what time tomorrow?
Noon Eastern.
Noon Eastern. You know, I went to the website, couldn't find that. Shame on you. Noon Eastern tomorrow. There's the website. Okay, so fantastic. And what else do we need to know about Google My Business? What are dealers missing?
The vast majority that I see are missing just the initial setup, being incorrect. It's often neglected. Dealers are focused heavily on social media, and if you're not spending money on social media to advertise, the reach on these posts are almost non-existent. So Google My Business is the exact opposite. Google My Business is something you can move the needle on very, very quickly. They're indexing organic content. They are displaying organic content. So I think Google My Business has been the neglected platform, and literally think it's the biggest game changer in automotive right now. Dealers that haven't really figured this out or invested in this platform need to do so, because look, I've been in the car business all my life, Jim. You know that. I've not seen anything with results this quickly.
Well, one thing about it is, and it's going to be more confusing. Like I said, Google loves. They must be a bunch of jokesters and pranksters over there at Google headquarters, because every time the dealers think they nailed it, they change it, and they're changing the name of Google My Business. It started out as Google Places. Everybody knows that. So as soon as everybody got comfortable with Places, they changed the name to Google My Business. Now they're changing the name again, and I'm not sure. I've heard several different rumors what the new name's going to be. Do you know?
I don't. I know that they've announced there's going to be massive changes coming early 2022. We've previewed some of them. And listen, I think you're going to continue to see these changes coming from Google. At the end of the day, Google is wanting you to stay on their website, hence having inventory on Google My Business now. If I go and type in Sutherlin Nissan Mall of Georgia, or any dealership for that matter, and Google My Business comes up, first and foremost, you should have inventory on Google My Business. If you do, why does a customer need to go to your website? Why does a customer need to go to your website to browse cars? That you can click on new Nissan Altima. You can click on used cars, view all used, or you can segment by the manufacturer, the type of used car you want.
You sure can.
They're holding you on their website longer and longer and longer. I've toyed with the idea: are they making websites virtually obsolete? There are a lot of changes happening, and quite frankly, it's going to continue to happen.
Unbelievable. Well, see, the thing about it is, I have preached for years that your website needs to be sticky, where the customer spends more time, more engaged. My friend Hugh Hathcock, founder of eLeads, is now got this Velocity Auto Solutions, and he's coming up with how to keep people on the website longer with Velocity Engage. Engagement's important. So now you're talking about engagement with Google.
Yes, engaging with Google directly on the Google My Business profile.
Yeah, so Google is the ultimate strategizer, of course. So anyway, the webinar is tomorrow at noon Eastern, and I've got I've got that on the sidebar. I've got it all over the place. If you want to find out about what we're doing, and what's the name of the company?
Lead Revenue.
Lead Revenue. You can Google. I'm sure you can find lead revenue in Google.
Absolutely.
It would surprise me if you couldn't. But anyway, lead revenue is the company. Webinars tomorrow at noon Eastern, and we're going to. And the biggest thing that I have learned from our conversation today, and it's not something I learned, it's something I realized because I've already knew it, and everybody watching the broadcast, Brett, frankly, already knew it. There's a whole lot of things dominating the first half of the page.
A lot of things. And then
You're not gonna be at the top. You can be at the top of organic, but the top of organic does not mean you're at the top of the page.
exactly right.
And I know that all the SEO providers out there, all the people that are selling SEO, and like I say, some of them are my very best friends. The people that are selling SEO, and I know there's a couple of them watching this broadcast right now, by the way. People that are the SEO vendors in this world, that they are already changing their focus, because if you don't change your focus, or number one, organic is no longer a badge of honor. You got to be a little smarter than that, because we talked about the map pack. The map pack, unless you know what we're talking about, there's 3 or 4 dealers that, because of their organic and organic listings, are dominating the map pack. That little thing of 3 or 4 to 5 dealers you see at the very top of the page, they earned that spot. But if you're not in the map pack, then you're doubly screwed if you're not dominating maps. Is that true?
100%. And you'll notice maps, one thing they do is they share the Google reviews right up front. So, maybe Debbie is searching for something, before they're clicking the website, you're looking at reviews. You're going to go to the listing with the highest quality reviews. You're going to click on them, you're going to read them, and then you're going to decide, hey, I'm going to visit this business. So yeah, they have reviews, content are keys to getting you in that map section. The map section obviously is better ranking than organic. And, tomorrow we're going to dive deep in the discussion of how to do this, how to appear, how to increase your visibility, how to start appearing in map searches, not just in your backyard, but in sub-cities. Atlanta has 50 plus sub-cities. How do you dominate Sandy Springs? How do you dominate Beaufort? How do you dominate these sub-cities? We're going to really.
Okay, how do you dominate the suburban cities? I mean, every dealership has a number of small cities around it that are really part of the metro. I mean, the metro has grown out and engulfed these smaller cities. Beaufort, Georgia. I live in Brazelton, Georgia, but guess what? I tell people I live in Atlanta.
Sure.
Yeah, Brazelton's too difficult to explain. I live in Atlanta. So how do you dominate the smaller communities around the main community? I mean, dealers don't focus on, they don't think that way.
Yeah, and that's how you have to think. I mean, the areas that you have in and around you, you can identify up to 15 of these areas. So what you want to do is on a map.
Wait a second, 15. I mean, this is a Google allowance. This is something that they
yeah, it's in Google My Business. You can target up to 15 cities. You can target up to 10 categories. We have started even categorizing our electric vehicles charging station, Jim, because guess what? If a customer is Googling an EV charging station and they're in their electric vehicle, you're going to pop up on their nav screen. We want them to go to Sutherlin Nissan to charge their car for free, because what are they going to do? They're going to browse inventory while they're getting their vehicle charged. We've made several sales by having our electric vehicle charging.
Really?
Absolutely.
I have not. I've been opposed to that. I have actually written articles about people stealing your electricity, and you're saying what?
We're inviting them to come while the business is open and charge their car. Because guess what? They are shopping while they're charging.
You're changing my thinking now. That
We
pisses me off, by the way. Yeah, just
we are absolutely categorizing the EV charging station, just like we're categorizing tires and batteries, used cars, new cars, etc. Because guess what? They're buyers. They are buyers. We want our stores, our dealerships to show up. Customers come in and they say, "Oh, here's a charging station." They come, they plug their car in, and guess what?
they got to stick. They got to stick around for a while. That's not like pumping gas. You don't charge and go.
Exactly right. So we cover all of this with the dealers. We're setting up the 15 cities that they want to pull from, that they want to appear on maps from. We're helping the dealers determine what the 10 divisions, call it, in their dealership are. Not only service, but we want to categorize service into oil changes, into batteries, into all the most searched items. We want to talk about used cars. If we're a Nissan dealer, but we always have Toyotas and Chevrolets and Fords in stock, we want to show up in those searches. So we help the dealer categorize correctly. We help them map out what the cities around them are that they should pull from. And that's just part of the setup process. But yeah, I mean, EV charging stations is a great example. You can go after and target anything.
Amazing. But see, the thing about it is I'm sure dealers could do this themselves.
Of course.
Oh, I know there's some people out there. My people can do this. No, they can't, and no, they won't.
They won't.
They won't. I mean, this is time consuming unless it is your avocation, your vocation. This is something you do all the time. This is what you do, and this is what the lead generation people do.
Yeah, and on lead revenue, just to give you an idea, we have an entire division now focused on auto, focused on optimizing, focused on content. We have 44 content writers on staff right now, Jim. It takes that.
Wait a minute, how big is this company?
It's a significant.
I thought you were operating out of your basement.
Significant enough to get investment from private equity, right? So
okay, so you've got it. You guys are taking off. You got investment from private equity. This is incredible, yeah. Because unless I knew you, I wasn't aware of this company.
Well, we've just entered auto on October 1, and are growing very quickly.
Yeah, that's. I am so glad to be one of the first people on the forefront to introduce you to the industry, because I know you're coming. It's amazing. What else do we need to tell people before we say adios until the webinar?
I think we're going to dive deep tomorrow in this. The dealers who say, you know what, I can handle it. I'm going to raise my hand. I can do all this. We're going to give you the playbook.
So yeah, if you want to try to do it yourself, we're going to show you exactly, or you're going to show. I'm not going to be there because I've already seen it. I got to tell you, it's strong. But the dealers that see it tomorrow on the webinar, the dealers that see it, they're going to show you exactly how to do it. You can gather your staff around and you can say, let's watch this webinar and let's find out how to do it. Let's learn the secret sauce. We'll do it ourselves. Well, the truth of the matter is, no, you can't, and no, you won't. But you're going to try, and you're allowed to try. But why? Why? I mean, how much time, when I married my wife 35 years ago, 36 years ago, we got an anniversary coming up. When I married my wife 35 years ago, the very first thing I did was sell her ex-husband's lawnmower and all of his lawn equipment. I don't do that. I make a lot more money than the people that mow my yard. Does that make sense? The people that mow my yard, I make a lot more money than that. Why would I mow the yard myself? Quit it. It's not entertaining to me to ride around on a lawnmower. Let's put a for sale sign on it and put it in front of the yard. That's the truth. You probably could do this yourself, but why?
Your business, stick to selling cars. Let us do the heavy lifting. Let us make people show up in your service department for tires. Jim, how many dealers have you known since car dealers started selling tires They've always struggled in that department. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and the Ford Motor Company really made a hard push on selling tires 15 years ago, if you recall.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they were making dealers stock name brand tires, and I mean, pretty substantial stock. They were trying to come right at Goodyear, but guess what? The dealers weren't good at it.
So
I
let us
know,
how
yeah.
to move these items that are stagnant. Search volume's there. That's the key. Let us have them show up at your dealership instead of the Pep Boys or the Goodyears of the world.
Because when the Pep Boys and the Goodyears steal your customers, they're stealing your service business.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, my gosh, they're stealing, and the problem is dealers are not good at it, and they're not good at it because the volume isn't there. If the
Yeah.
volume was there, you get good at it.
And listen, I don't care if I ever make money selling tires. That's not the point. The point is upsells and bringing these people into the dealership because guess what? They search for new and used inventory. You know, we bring people in for tires at a losing proposition. We sell them service. You know, we sell them other items. We sell them new. So, you know, that's the key. And we're going to guide them through this on the conversation tomorrow. And I think it'll be very, very informative.
Well, the point is, you know, we're talking to Brett Sutherlin. Now, the Sutherlin dealerships are 10 really strong dealerships. So how many of those dealerships are Nissan?
7.
7. And I'm telling you, I remember when it was one Sutherlin Nissan dealership over there by Six Flags. You know? And I met George Sutherland. I was working with him back in those days, and it's amazing. We've gone way up the scale to 10 high performance dealerships. What's the average volume of your stores now?
You know, we have many stores that are doing 500 plus cars.
Yes, you do.
Many stores that are doing that.
So we're not talking to somebody that doesn't understand the industry. You know, don't you hate it when some techno geek is talking about the industry that has no concept of what we really do and how customers really act? I mean, you know, as a trainer, I hate that. When some clown's up in front of the room that they couldn't do it if their whole damn miserable life depended on it, trying to tell you how to do it.
Yeah, how does someone try and tell you how to sell cars if they've never been in the business? It makes zero sense. And in the business at a significant dealership, you know, we have some of the highest. We have 2 dealerships that are in the top 3 for Nissan in the country, as in terms of volume. And we have the most profitable Nissan store on the planet. So yeah, I've been there, walk the walk, and I can tell you this stuff works. Everything we do digitally, we tested the Sutherland stores, and I'm not going to bring anything that's not proven and that doesn't work.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I am sending out a mass email to my list, and I will include this broadcast in that email because I think I'm doing a service to the dealerships. I really do. There's Patrick O'Brien just gave us a boom. Okay. Oh, wow. Significant audience today, and this is all over social media. Anything else you need to say or want to say before we end the broadcast, Brett?
Just other than I really appreciate you having me on. Love working with you. Happy to help out any way I can.
Fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the webinar is tomorrow. It's noon Eastern. I have posted on the sidebar. You can find it. What's the name of the company? Lead Revenue?
Yes, sir.
Lead Revenue. You can Google it up. Have a great one, folks. Thanks, Brett.
Thank you, Jim.